We've made the hard decisions. Now let's pull together and invest in the city we love.
From Democrat-run Denver to Aurora, where conservatives are in charge, city leaders are dealing with painful budget cuts. The FBI had been warned about an online radical embracing white supremacy. It was the Evergreen high school shooter. They say they didn't identify the person behind the posts until it was too late. Calls for the firings of people criticizing Charlie Kirk after his murder. They're coming from Republicans in Colorado, clear up to the Vice President of the United States. And as the Evergreen community gathers for a day together, you have raised more than $50,000 to support the mental health of youth and families there and across Jefferson County. That's tonight on Next. Denver's mayor is outlining how the city will close the rest of its budget deficit after it already laid off 170 people. While critics blame Denver's budget crisis on its liberal leadership, next door in Aurora, conservative leaders are also planning employee furloughs and spending cuts. Our Marshall Zellinger has the tale of two cities' budget issues.
Smile, you just added to the city of Denver's budget. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston announced today how the city would close a $200 million budget gap, including adding $2 million by catching more speeders.
We will increase some of the use of our photo radar enforcement as a way to increase safety in terms of speed all around the city. Will also have a modest impact on revenue.
Denver plans to save more money by closing shelters the city leases instead of owns, and by sending out property tax notices on postcards instead of letters. More than half of the budget savings comes from last month's layoffs and eliminating open positions, and also through no raises for employees, except police and fire, because those raises are contracted.
We didn't make cuts to employee health or retirement benefits. You see a lot of cities or states that are doing this by passing on more of the share of those benefits to employees. We did not do that.
The fact that we're able to continue to fund our pay for performance or merit pay, and then it is offset by some furlough days, but no layoffs, no elimination of vacant positions.
In Aurora, city employees are still eligible for raises, but city manager Jason Batchelor detailed 4 furlough days next year to help close a $10 million budget gap. Aurora is also saving money by transferring domestic violence cases from municipal court to county court.
That'll be $1 million in 2026, and then it'll be an additional $2 million in 2027.
The city of Aurora has a new agreement with Lamar Advertising, where a few digital billboards will go up on city property, including City Hall. The city gets to keep 25% of the revenue and expects about $550,000 a year. Near the Colorado-Wyoming border, Lamar billboards have included "Venezuela ahead, be prepared," and "Round 'em up, ship 'em out. Thank you, Tom Homan," the White House border czar. And free speech means the city will not restrict what Lamar can put on the billboards.
Council was comfortable with the standards from Lamar, and then did not want to get into a situation where the government was seen as regulating that speech. So we're relying on Lamar's corporate standards.
City councils from both cities must ultimately approve the budgets. In Aurora, it comes from the city manager, and in Denver, it comes from the mayor with some council input ahead of time. And the mayor of Denver, not so subtly alluded to saying if city council makes any changes to his proposal, the public will notice service cuts or perhaps layoffs.
Right, I mean, that's a political messaging thing. Like, I don't hear a lot of people around Denver mad at city council. The mayor is shouldering the blame for these cuts, but he's warning them, you mess with this budget and you might own some of it.
He didn't say it that explicitly, but it was really like, I've laid it out for you. I've made the cuts as unexpectedly visible as possible. But if anything else happens, he's kind of guiding voters to say, like, look, it's those people on council that you should be mad at.
And just another reminder, of course, Denver is not the only municipality in Colorado that is dealing with the economic downturn and past spending and so forth. All right, Marshall, thank you. The Denver mayor's budget also requires cuts from the city's independent agencies, including the clerk and recorder's office. Clerk Paul Lopez asked for a budget increase for next year, not cuts. The mayor saying that everybody needs to scale back spending.
Other departments, independents, and electeds worked collaboratively with us to try to reach a solution. They did not, and insisted on demanding increases, which we couldn't meet in this budget. And so in this budget, you'll see a 5% reduction to them across the board that they can determine how they want to absorb.
The way that maths out is that the mayor's budget gives the clerk's office $14 million, about $200,000 less than their budget for this year. Clerk Lopez requested a $4 million increase. He says the extra funds are needed to provide enough polling locations and ballot boxes for 2 high turnout elections next year. He says his office already offered some savings back to the city, but should not be required to give money back as an independent agency.
We requested what it costs to actually run a 2-election cycle. 18.7 million is what it's required. This accounts for, a 9% increase in voters. It accounts for a 22% increase in the minimum wage and more than 30% increase the cost of print and mail ballots. Simply put, as you can't run more elections with fewer resources.
Clerk Lopez and Mayor Johnson have been fighting over funding for a while now. Lopez wanted a $50 million warehouse project included in the city's bond proposal going before voters in November. It's not in there. The Anti-Defamation League says it alerted the FBI about the white supremacist views and the radicalization of the Evergreen high school shooter earlier this year. But the ADL says the identity of the person behind the troubling posts was not clear. It was shortly after noon last Wednesday that 16-year-old Desmond Holly opened fire on his classmates at Evergreen High. September 5th, about an hour before the attack, he had posted a photograph of a revolver on his X account. And now we know that for months he'd been posting on violent websites about his admiration for mass shooters, his love of white supremacist symbols, even interactions where he described his plans to buy gear, like ear protection. The ADL says they turned over those posts to the FBI in July, but they only knew the username, not the person's real name or location. This afternoon, the FBI acknowledged they received the tip, but didn't know who was behind the posts until after the shooting. The school district's also making safety changes following the shooting. When students return to Evergreen High, they'll have a full-time school resource officer on campus. We've previously reported that school's SRO had been on medical leave for 11 months before the shooting. Republicans in Colorado are calling for consequences against private citizens who say things they don't like about Charlie Kirk following his murder. The comments being criticized range widely from people who are mocking Kirk's killing or calling for more political violence to people who are simply criticizing Charlie Kirk's political views or saying that he should not be celebrated as a national hero. Today, the vice president guest hosted Kirk's radio show from the White House with a stream of administration officials promising a government crackdown on liberal groups based on their unsubstantiated claim that those groups fueled Kirk's killing. Our Angeline McCall reports.
On social media, an effort from the right to cancel those who have been outspoken on Charlie Kirk. In Colorado, there have been calls for state employee firings, for teachers and others who have posted anything negative about Kirk.
Unfortunately, something we see after every tragedy like this is an effort to try to police the speech of the opposing side.
Robert Shibley works with FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression.
You know, a big part of his appeal was his willingness to engage people with all different viewpoints, including a lot of people who accused him of being bad, wrong, racist, vile.
Now we're seeing public databases created, calling for people to submit online posts and personal information of those who have a different opinion on Kirk. While the First Amendment protects freedom of speech, it does not necessarily protect you in your workplace.
You have the right to, speak and be a part of the democratic process, as long as that's not, something you're doing as part of your job. But the matter of trying to figure out what's part of your job is sort of where the rubber hits the road legally and things get very complicated.
The State Department also suggested recalling visas of those who've been outspoken about Kirk.
If we are all going to live with equal justice under law, we have to be held to the same standards, and we can't simply pick and choose what we like to hear and what we don't. That can't be the way we decide whether or not you can have a livelihood in this country.
And creating databases is something Charlie Kirk himself advocated for, creating the Professor Watch List. FIRE, the organization, spoke out in opposition of that list, but at the same time also advocated for Kirk's Turning Point USA chapters to be able to host events on college campuses, even when colleges did not want to. Kyle.
And certainly, Angeline, we've seen cycles like this of public condemnation and calls for consequences for speech from both the left and the right. In this case, obviously, you also have the president and the vice president promising government action against groups.
Right, and that's actually something that Robert talked about, right, is that we've seen this cycle before. We saw it back, for instance, in 2020 with George Floyd, seeing it again with Charlie Kirk. He says that whenever any side kind of engages in this type of cycle, what it does is actually spur the next side, when something else happens down the line, and both can be dangerous.
Angeline McCall, thank you very much. The top Republican in the Colorado House is resigning, calling the atmosphere at the state legislature toxic. Minority Leader Rose Puglisi is out, effective today. She led the Republican caucus that is significantly outnumbered by Democrats and divided among themselves on whether to move toward the center in this blue state or move farther to the right and embrace MAGA politics. Puglisi also took a recent ethics spat with Democrats as an affront to her personal integrity, and she spoke forcefully from the House floor during the recent special session.
I have seen degrading behavior from both sides of the aisle since I have been here. And I think we must do better as an institution. To preserve the integrity of this institution, we should absolutely do better. Let's do better as an organization. Let's do better as a House on both sides of the aisle. The people of Colorado deserve that, but we, all as colleagues, deserve that mutual respect.
Puglisi told supporters in a letter that she's making a number of personal changes. She's also moving her family from the Colorado Springs area back to Mesa County. She was previously in elected office there on the Western Slope, and at one time was even talked about as a potential GOP candidate for statewide office. Your exceptional generosity meets the moment again and again in our state. While the community of Evergreen is hurting following the school shooting there, you've raised about $50,000 for the Jefferson Center for Mental Health. That nonprofit is on the ground in Evergreen, helping to guide the healing of that community. And extra funds that are not used in Evergreen will be able to support Jefferson Center's extensive work helping youth and families deal with mental health crises, including trauma. Your weekly Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns have raised more than $16 million for nonprofits across Colorado. You know the deal. We'll stay at it as long as you're right there and willing to give, and I'm right here and able to organize our efforts together each week. So send me ideas of nonprofits that are making a difference in your corner of Colorado. Email next@9news.com or text next 303-871-1491.
They're very excited to be here, to connect with friends and family. This is so appreciated.
They have been through something that no student should experience. Now the Evergreen High School community is getting back together. And a striped invasion in our water. Despite efforts to keep them at bay, zebra mussels are taking hold in the Colorado River. Next. The longtime voice behind the conservative editorial bent of the Colorado Springs Gazette and the Denver Gazette is out. Wayne Logston will be focusing on his new podcast, according to the Gazette's publisher. Logston spent more than a decade writing editorials for the Gazette, which is owned by the conservative billionaire Phil Anschutz. 7 months ago, he launched an independent podcast project called Wayne's Word. Recent episodes have received several hundred views on YouTube. Logston told us he is in fact focusing on that podcast and his grandkids. Full disclosure, 9 News is a reporting partner of the Denver Gazette. For the first time, adult zebra mussels have been detected in the Colorado River. Those invasive little buggers attach to pipes and other equipment, and they clog up water infrastructure. Colorado Parks and Wildlife isn't surprised to see the big ones there because they've been tracking zebra mussel larvae in the river since the summer of 2024. The adults were found in the Colorado River as well as a lake in Grand Junction earlier this month. The river is now considered infested from the 32 Road Bridge in Grand Junction downstream to the Utah border. CPW says it doesn't plan to treat the Colorado River for zebra mussels because of the risk to native fish and habitat, because of just how much of the river would need treatment. Spring and meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris, that is a summer-colored graphic behind you.
It is. Good spot. And by the way, Kyle, I'm here to tell you, we're officially done with 90-degree days this year here in Denver. We're done. I'm declaring it. We're done with those 90-degree days for us here in 2025. We're going to finish with 47 days at or above 90 degrees on the year for us here in Denver. Today, we topped out 84, and we're going to finish the year with 47 days at or above 90 degrees. That is 1 day above the 30-year average, so very close to average. And what's been kind of striking is the last month, we've basically had no 90-degree days, which is a bit unusual compared to recent trends. Now, in terms of the weather here now, we do have one little rumble of thunder south of Castle Rock. Otherwise, we're dry. But you look off to the north and west, so we've actually got a winter weather advisory in the Absaroka Mountains of southern Montana. Reason I point that out, this is the storm system that's going to spin its way in our direction and bring us some active weather for tomorrow and for Wednesday as well. We'll see a cold front roll in. That'll lead to showers and some rumbles of thunder and some snow for us in the high country. And by Wednesday morning, mountains, another couple inches of slushy snow on the way. Here in Denver tomorrow, cooler compared to today. A weak cold front moves through overnight. That'll drop those temperatures into the mid-70s for tomorrow with scattered showers and storms. And that 7-day forecast, if you like that fall-like weather, you'll get it for really kind of one day, which will be on Wednesday with a high stuck in the upper 60s for us. Then we're back into the 70s for the final Thursday, Friday of summer before the final weekend of summer, feeling summer-like with those highs in the 80s. And of course, fall officially begins 7 days from now at 12:19 p.m. on September the 22nd. That's when the sun's rays will be directly over the equator for us in the northern hemisphere. That is the start of autumn.
Call it a camping ban, call it a sitting ban. Longmont City's leaders have decided not to crack down on homelessness using that method. Last week, City Council narrowly voted down the ban on sitting, kneeling, reclining, or lying down in the right-of-way in the business areas of Longmont. The ban would be in effect during the day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and it included some carve-outs, like people sitting there waiting for a bus stop. Public safety staff backed the ban. They said they get constant complaints about people lying in storefronts of public businesses. Ultimately, City Council sided with advocates who said that the ordinance targeted the homeless and that Longmont should instead focus on providing additional shelters or substance abuse resources. Evergreen High students have not been back in class since the shooting there, but today they were together again. Evergreen High School will remain closed for at least the rest of this week as the two victims of last week's school shooting continue to recover in the hospital, and the rest of the community focuses on their healing as well. Today, students gathered in a park in town, a chance for togetherness and conversation. Evergreen Parks and Rec and local businesses put together a community gathering, a space full of music, games, chance for students to get together with classmates and spend time with therapy animals. We spoke with Kelly Jones, a mom of two Evergreen High School students, who says it was important for the students to just kind of tune out the noise and spend time with each other.
This is so appreciated, this gathering, because they need to see people in person, they need to interact. The rumors are insane on the phone, in the phone contacts and on Instagram and all the platforms. And so it's really important that they see each other face to face.
Jeffco Schools has said they plan to bring in additional mental health support for students and staff when they eventually return to the building. We are back here with your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today was an environmentally friendly bear. This time of year, we're used to seeing bears digging in our trash cans. No, not this guy. He is eating clean. He is going straight for the recyclables. Kathy snapped this picture while she was visiting Steamboat Springs recently. If you see something that just says Colorado to you, email it to us, next at 9news.com, or you can always text next, 303-871-1491. Feedback tonight on some of the reactions in the culture and in government to the killing of Charlie Kirk, and specifically efforts to get people fired or punished for the things that they have said in the aftermath of that. Jim from Denver writes in to say that Charlie Kirk should not have been killed. Jim writes, but the government seeking retribution for people accurately quoting Charlie Kirk reeks of fascism. We have yet to see what action the government is taking, and I think it's an important distinction between private citizens calling for employer action against other private citizens and government action. Two different things. We'll try to be as specific as possible about what is happening there. Carrie said that our story misrepresented what conservatives are doing. He or she said if somebody's saying Charlie Kirk's a bigot or a racist, so what? But if they joyfully dance or mock his death, that's what's being reported to employers. As our report specified, Carrie, what's being reported to employers runs the gamut, including both of those things and the middle ground. See you next time.